One of the first things I want to do in here when trying to clean up this engine bay is start to break down some of the grease. And contrary to popular belief, scrubbing bubbles does a really great job at cleaning up engine bays and engines. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of get liberal with the spraying of it. I'm going to kind of just douse everything down and let it start to work on its own without using any water or anything. And basically what this is going to do is just start to loosen any grease and shitty buildup that's going on in here. And this is going to be a lengthy job because, as you can see already, you'll see that the scrubby bubbles does start to break down grease. It's going to get nasty. It's going to take a while, but it's the first step in ensuring that we have a clean surface before we get in here and either pressure wash and or scrub with a scrub brush. So again, I'm just going to kind of go in here, kind of soak everything down, degrease it as much as possible here, let this agent kind of act as it needs to, and just get real liberal with it. Soak it all in there. You can see it's doing a number there on the power steering setup. I'm going to come back over here and do it on the other side. But this is going to basically, you can kind of see already what it does. Don't breathe it in, obviously. I'm in a well-ventilated area here outside, so get it in there, get it soaking, and this will make the paint come out much better if you do your prep work. Biggest job about painting is prep work. So you want to make sure you prep the hell out of everything. So I'll do another update here in a little bit once we get it cleaned up a little bit more. Okay, once you have this kind of soaked down for about 10-15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and use the trusty hose here and start spraying some of this down. You can't loosen up some of this grime and dirt, all this nastiness. To flush it all out. And there's a lot of rinse and repeat that you're going to be doing here, so this is by no means a fast process at all. And remember, we don't have our firewall completely plugged up here, so we want to be careful around the firewall. But this is what I'm going to do. Keep going on in here, degreasing like crazy. Okay, here we are going back with our second application here of the scrubby bubbles. And you'll notice everything's all wet now, so it's going to stick. You're going to see it more. But we knocked off a good layer of grease on the first run, which is good. So we're going to keep going here. And then after I get the next phase of grease knocked off, I'm going to go ahead and start pulling out some more components like that overflow reservoir radiator, which is just sitting in there. Still debating on whether or not I should keep these battery cables going into the trunk, or if I should do it the right way and put a battery box in and have the battery up here. There's really no need to have the battery in the trunk for my application, so I'll probably end up putting it back to normal. That's of course getting replaced, but that'll come off, take off the modules and whatnot, and take it to the next step. Okay, that's been soaking there for about 10 minutes. Second application of degreaser / scrubby bubbles. It's taken off a good bit of the grease already. And just sitting here thinking, I think I'm gonna move the battery up front. I think this just looks Mickey Mouse. I mean, come on, what's the stupid? I don't know why anybody would do that. There's no reason. So I'm gonna get me a battery box and mount the battery back up front here when it comes time for installation. I mean, there's no sense in having an extra firewall penetration where there doesn't need to be. I'll plug it up, get rid of the cable, use the trunk for what it's supposed to be for. Speakers. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, that's another soak in there of the scrubby bubbles. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this out again, let it dry, and then check for how greasy it is, and then start getting the scrub brush out and scrub away. Okay, we let this dry after degreasing it here with the scrubby bubbles. And I tried a little bit of test paint over here, and we seem to be pretty good as far as getting the grease off of there. So I'm going to continue to kind of scrub a little bit more. But as I'm over here working, I've been contemplating a few things, and like I mentioned in past clips, I really want to clean this area up over here. I mean, this is just, you know, all this work into the engine and everything else, and into the interior and whatnot, and eventually a paint job. This is just unacceptable. I mean, this this wiring going all the way back to the battery is just, to me, it looks like hell. It could be a lot cleaner. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here, first of all, we're deleting the ignition control module here. And the reason being is I have a one-wire alternator setup that's going on this car. The car is also getting the GM style HEI ignition distributor, which, you know, play a very important role in reliability when it comes to actually depending on this thing to start up and run, and you know, every time. So I want to try to cut out as many factors of unreliability as possible moving forward. So just to give a little bit of a high-level overview of what I'm going to be doing here, we got ignition control module here. Now with a one-wire alternator setup, to my understanding, all of this mess is not required anymore. So basically this unbolts from the engine bay here. These wires that used to go to the alternator, the old style alternator, are going to be virtually useless. And the only other thing I'm looking at here is this has to come off of the starter solenoid, this wire here, which is sending voltage over to the voltage regulator. And then we have a shared wire coming off of the voltage regulator here. And this is going into the front of the bay here. And let's just kind of play a little forensics on camera. This is running through here. I'm kind of getting lost into this mix of wires here. That is running back into the engine bay. So that's making a whole loop around, which is telling me that that's ignition power. From the looks of it, that's a red and green wire. So that's ignition power. So just going through here, I'm gonna just make some final evaluations on what this particular wire actually is doing, and if it's required for this ignition control module. Obviously you need switch power or signal from the key to activate the module, so I'm thinking that that's going to just be deleted, but I don't want to make any snap judgments. I do want to do some forensics here, because we do have yeah, I do have some wiring I do have to figure out here. So if anyone's done this before, any insight would be helpful, but this is kind of where I'm gonna spend some of my time here in cleaning up some of this and getting it pulled out. I got a new starter solenoid from Excel, ordered from Summit today, so that'll be here hopefully within the week. I'll install that, reinstall all the wires. I got a battery tray ordered from CJ, that should be here too. So the next time some of this stuff comes in, I'll do another update. Okay, we're out here at day 2 of engine bay prep, and you can see the bay is a little bit more naked, and we're missing something. Headers gone. Had to cut them off with the Sawzall. They were just in the way, and I'm not reusing them anyway. You guys know that. So that's that. This is man, I just want to say this is one tedious process. My secret weapon in this is easy off. Don't breathe this shit in, it's really bad, but it does break down all that old ass grease. That and the scrubby bubbles for scrubbing. But there's at least in my application, there's no quick fix other than a scrub brush and some elbow grease. Getting into here, not going to be able to really spray in there too much. The opening for a blower motor is back in there somewhere, so I don't want to risk getting any water in the newly redone interior. So I'm going to have to do that by hand, and I'll do that later. Right now my goal is to get this prepped for paint. I want to paint it just a flat black and just clean it up a little bit. Can't really afford to go take it to a paint shop or anything. So we just want to get a nice flat black laid down in here, cover up some of this stuff. I was able to clean up all the brake lines and stuff pretty good, so that didn't come out too shabby. Steering and everything, so I'll go ahead and get that finished up. But you can see as this dries, I mean, it really, that oven cleaner pretty much strips everything off of there, so it's going to dry pretty dull, which is good. Give me a nice foundation to spray it with. So yeah guys, this is day 2 of the prep work, and if anyone's thinking about doing this themselves, just go ahead and set yourself aside a couple days and understand that there's no quick magic silver bullet to get it done. You're going to be getting dirty, and you're going to be really cranking on this thing. So yeah, just give you a shot in here. This looks like lots of stuff. I pulled the wiper motor out. I'm going to go ahead and degrease that while it's outside of the car and put a nice fresh coat of paint on it. So yeah, this is just going to be a good old general improvement from what it was. There's no sense of putting a new motor back in here with all this this nastiness in here, all the old oil and splatter and years of grime. So yeah guys, alright, hope you appreciate the video, and I will go ahead and post this up now as phase 1, and then after I paint it, or as I'm painting it, I'll go ahead and do another quick video and do that as phase 2. So thanks for watching guys.